power team. You're going to see the motherboard design. You're going to see our support team that has benches in there. You're going to see our system integration team. We call it SIT, where we integrate and then we do all the configurations. You're going to see our graphics aisle, where we just basically beat the daylights out of graphics, and you'll see, you know, guys sitting in front of consoles where they got 8 displays sitting up there and they're running tests on every one of them. You will see workstations that are racked. Jim talked about racking these things. We rack them ourselves just so we can put them into our test environments. We slide them out, we change the memory, we change the process, slide them back in, run them, begin to run the tests. You're going to see where we do Windows certification. You'll also see where we do what we call margin testing, specifically memory margin testing, where we vary 3 very basic electrical principles. You vary temperature, voltage, and frequency. You measure on those axes and you push the limits. In fact, you push beyond the limits to see how well does your design perform as you go beyond, you know, plus and minus voltage, frequency, and temperature. And so you'll see that. After that, we'll stop briefly at our little museum and give you just kind of a little historical perspective, but you can see it for real. And you know, having been here so long, I can honestly say the only thing in that box that I haven't touched or worked on was the 9100, and I was still in high school when that was released. So I wasn't here when the 9100, but literally everything else that you'll see down there is something that I at least touched somewhere along the way. In fact, the first desktop computer that's in the box, there's the 9825. It was the machine I was assigned to when I came to work at HP back in 1979. So we'll give you a brief tour of that. Then we're going to walk down to our 10-meter chamber. In the 10-meter chamber, have any of you been into a 10-meter chamber and, you know, electromagnetic interference and conductivity chamber? A couple of you have. Okay, it's a neat experience, and it's an incredible room. It's just a great big box. I'm going to let Julie Duke explain that to you, but it's really fun and exciting. We're going to stop by part of what I'll call the quality part of the lab. We have something called Z-Safe, and it's actually spelled Z-SAV, so we took a little liberty on the pronunciation of SAV, safe. What it stands for is the System Archival Vault. In our archival vault, we have 8 years worth of workstations in storage, and 8 years of every graphics card, and every hard drive, and every stick of memory, and every configuration. So that if we get a phone call from some customer that says, we are having a problem, and here's our configuration, we can take that configuration and reconstruct it with the exact version of motherboard, the exact version of hard drive, the exact version of graphics card that customer has, and begin to look for the problem that they're experiencing. And so we call that the Z-Safe because basically it's our vault. It stands for System Archival Vault, and inside the Z-Safe we have SAKs, System Archival Kits. These are basically big lockers that, and we'll show them to you. Dave Randall, who's my business operations manager, who put this all together, has done a great job in terms of organizing it. We literally barcode every single piece, and so you want to find a particular part, a particular stick of memory, you type it into a database. It's in that case, and it's in that tray in that case. You pull out that case, you got that piece of memory. Incredibly efficient, but necessary if you want to be in this business, and necessary if you want to be able to solve customer problems real time. Get to a solution as quickly as possible. From there, we're going to walk over to our model shop. I have 2 incredible modelers. You know, basically, they're not engineers; they're modelers. These guys are creative, but they're creative with machine tools. And we'll show you how we use an on-site model shop to get us time to market faster and to be able to build the highest quality products. Put this on the side here. You will actually see this assembly right here. Get it out. Rosie did a better job than I did. This assembly right here, it's actually 2 pieces of plastic. It's this piece of plastic here plus this is a snap-on. You actually see how we built that piece of plastic without a mold. Any of you are familiar with without a mold? We built this piece of plastic with a device called stereolithography. And you'll get a chance to see the machine that does that. In fact, we have 2 of them. We have kind of a coarse one, and this one actually this one was done with our fine machine. But we can actually build plastic parts without molds. It's fantastic, and it's an incredible aid to our ability to innovate in terms of our products. So you'll go to the model shop. We'll have what I'll call one kind of tangential visit. We're going to stop at our recycling center for the site. HP has been recognized as one of the leading, if not the leading companies in America, recycling and internally green. We'll talk a little bit about how we literally recycle everything that gets thrown in the trash here. It's not just recycling workstations and so forth, but I'm talking about everything that gets thrown in the trash. It gets sorted and it gets recycled, and we have an incredibly high percentage of trash on site that never ever hits the landfill. So you get a chance to see that. Then the last two stops will be in the hardware test center, where you get a chance to see our 3-meter chamber. You'll get a chance to see our dynamics lab, and then finally you will visit our material sciences lab, which is one of my favorite stops. I have a PhD chemist on my staff, and his job is to help us analyze problems that we have, as well as we look out in the future, and actually in the recent past, things like ROS. Materials and the kinds of materials you use are now critical. And the properties of those materials and being able to understand how they affect both mechanical and electrical environments are something that we view as a necessary competence that the Hewlett-Packard company has to have. And so Paul Mazurkowitz, our chemist, is going to give you a tour of his lab in terms of how we use science, very what I'll call rich science, chemistry in this case, to apply that to hopefully delivering the best platforms in the world.
CSI Fort Collins.
Yeah, Jeff and I like to call it, it's kind of our crime scene investigation lab. So if you're familiar with the TV show and all the cool lab things that they have there, we have one of those. We have one of those. So, and Paul is our master scientist. So that's what you're going to see today. And so again, John, no slides. Just talking about what are the principles in terms of how we try to develop what we believe are world-class products from HP. And as Jim said, the market seems to be saying, we believe you, because they're experiencing